Hello everyone, I am here today and I'm a bit late. I think it's 20 past 12, so yeah, super late, but here I am. I chose myself first this morning instead of coming racing here, and I had some other things to do. But I'm excited because I wanted to talk to you today about how old you have to be to write your life story. I mean, I work with a lot of older people. Children have left home, children, they've got grandchildren, they've got great-grandchildren, and which is really wonderful, and it's really wonderful that it's that we want to capture those stories. But I also think it's really important that if you've got a story to tell, you don't have to be an older person to tell it. You can write it in many different ways, in many different genres, in any way you want to write it. It's your story. You can write it however and whenever you want. So today I wanted to talk about a few different, I call them genres, but they're all falling under the banner of a life story. So there's the idea of a biography or an autobiography, which is usually told in chronological order. But I think that what is really great, and what is really, what you are really able to do, and what we can achieve when we write our life stories, and what we want our reader to engage with, is a little bit more depth and a little bit more of a challenging read than just this happened, then that happened, then this happened, then that happened, and then that happened, and then that happened. There are ways that you can weave and blend different storylines running parallel together. You can put, you can tell, like a memoir is a story that's told through the prism of an event. So it might be Virginia Woolf wrote a personal essay on, and it all revolved around her walking down a London street to buy a pencil. And so everything that happened within her thoughts and on the page of her story happened while she was walking, within a small time frame, whilst she was walking from her home to the shop. And it was about the people she met on the way, and yeah, it's a really wonderful story. And so there are many different creative ways that we can share our stories. And so memoir is a specific, obviously a genre, which I really enjoy reading and I really enjoy writing. The other thing with under the life story banner, well, I guess it's aside from that, is creative nonfiction, which is also something that I think life story can fall into quite easily. The lines are quite blurred between them. So I also write creative nonfiction, which is nonfiction about, for me, it's about the self, it's about yourself, about whichever self I'm writing about. But I'm usually putting myself in the place where I am right now and talking about whatever the crux of the essay or the creative nonfiction piece is. So when you start to write a life story, it's often we sort of get to this point in our lives and we think, oh, yeah, well, this thing happened, or this thing is happening, and it's a really interesting story, and I do want to share that with my family, and I want people to know who I am, and yeah, what I'm about, and how I navigated myself through this thing, which could be joyous, it could be traumatic, it could be and anywhere in between. So a part of what I teach when I'm doing workshops, and my the Getting Started workshops, which it's so close to launching, the first module on that is your purpose and your motivation. So working out why you're writing, what is your purpose, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to achieve a chronological order of your life and your experiences, or do you want to engage future generations in almost a dialogue of who you are and who you have been through your writing? Do you want to commercially publish your work? Does it need, if you're commercially publishing your work, you really need to fit neatly inside a genre so that it can fit neatly on the shelf or neatly within a publisher's or a promoter's packages. They have these quite strict rules around writing to a genre. But the beauty of creative nonfiction and the beauty of life story and the wonder of not worrying about where it's going to be published out there in the big world. And if you're just publishing it for yourself and your family, you have got so much choice, and there's no right or wrong way. So it is important to know a little bit about the rules of each genre, so that you it's that thing, once you know the rules, you can break the rules, but you kind of need to know them to start with. So what I say to people is that whatever you enjoy reading, what is it when you've got, $40, you want to go and buy a book, you're going to the library, what is it you love reading? If you are loving reading autobiographies, then you probably will love writing an autobiography. But that doesn't mean that you need to write it chronologically either. I think that the biographies and the autobiographies that we love reading are the ones that start right here in the present tense, and it starts with whatever that person's doing now. Either they've retired from sport or music or whatever it is, or their fame, and they're writing back over their life. But if you start in the present, and then you can go back to your teenage years, you can go back to that informative high school teacher, and then come back to where you are now, and then go back to birth, and then come back to where you are now, and then go to your grandparents' lives, to your story, how you ended up wherever you ended up, through your genealogy, and then come back to that. And it's coming in, and so having that framework of knowing that I'm going to write my whole life, but I've got to write it from where I am right now. And what that does is not only make it interesting for you to write, but it also engages your reader, and they really feel like you're not lecturing them about your life, and it's not just this happened or that happened. It's actually engaging, and it's going to make your readers want to turn the page and know more about you. And so your reader, when I say your readers, I'm talking about your family. I'm talking about your children, your grandchildren, aunties, uncles, cousins, people that haven't even come into existence yet. Once it's bound in a book, it's yours, and you get to share it with whoever you like, whenever you like, for however long you like. So it's a really amazing thing. And so you kind of want to get it right, but in the getting it right, you need to know that it takes a lot of edits, it takes a lot of writing, and it's a process, a project that is going to take your commitment, which is when you can outsource some help. You can get an editor, you can get all this, you can get a life writer. I'm a member of Life Stories Australia. I don't know whether any of you know that. I'm a member of Life Stories Australia, and we, if you go to their website, all the life story writers around Australia are there, and everyone has their different techniques and their different styles. There is a video life storyteller. There's someone who focuses on health and regeneration through your life and overcoming things. And yeah, there's people who have written on sporting heroes. They focus on the 100-year-ago kind of stories. Yeah, there's just someone there for everybody if you're interested in outsourcing your work. Oh, and I'm here too if you're interested in outsourcing your work too. But I really think it's important that you write it yourself, because I think it's just such a cathartic process to go through. So get into the habit of just writing something, and then think of a story, think of a short creative nonfiction essay in which you sit and you write. I'm sitting at a window, I'm sitting at my desk, I'm looking out the window, this is what I can see, and then take me as your reader back through what the issue is that you want to talk about. Today I want to talk about, or today I want to write about, I've been mulling over, put yourself in the story, put what is going on for you right now into your story, and write it. It's such a great way to write, and so it's almost like journaling. It's a little bit like journaling, and then a little bit stream of consciousness, because you can always go back and edit. And the beautiful thing about all the technology we have today is that you can move words around a page so easily. But the trick to that is you've got to have the words on the page to start with. So I'd love to hear if anyone has been doing some writing and getting into it, journaling, getting up early in the morning and doing your journal, spending a Saturday afternoon writing, and going back through photo albums and things. That's really inspiring. I spoke about that last week, I think. But I've got a few notes here, but I guess the motivation and the who is, if you can answer the question, why am I going to write this story? Why do I want to tell my life story? And the other question is, who do I want to read my life story? Who am I telling it to? If you can really I mean, it sounds pretty easy, but if you can define what the answers to those two questions are, I think that is going to really make it easier for you to find a genre, find a way of telling your story. If you're talking to a 3-year-old granddaughter who will grow and you might not be there for her to grow, then you're going to address it, you're going to write it in a certain way. If you are a 25-year-old and you're writing for people who haven't even come into the world yet, or you're writing for your workmates, or you're writing for yourself, but who do you want to read it? You need to think about it. The answer is different for everybody. But I mean, I know I focused on you know, the older generation and people with grandchildren, but of course you don't need to have a family at all to write a life story. If you are a single person and you have things to say, you still have a life, you've still got a story, you've still got a narrative. It's got a you know, a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and it's valid. And I really think that we should all put something on paper. In you know, whether it's writing, whether it's art, whether it's photography, drawing, painting, whatever it is, it's about getting your creative self and marking yourself in time, placing yourself in time, placing yourself within our world. It's human nature. So anyway, so that's a lot of babbling. I hope that you get something out of it. I really hope that you guys are all doing some writing or getting a little bit inspired. So the few things that I'd like to, that I wanted you to remember today, is that while you need to know the genre that you're writing in, you don't need to stick to those rules. Depending on the why and the who you're writing for are the key questions in knowing how you're going to write it. The other thing is, start today. Don't wait until you're older. Don't wait until you think that you've got something or someone to write to. If you feel it inside and something has, and you've had experiences in life, which of course we all have, then I think it's really a great thing to write it down and share. So that's all for me today. Late and here, probably babbling a little bit, but I hope everyone has a great Saturday. I'm going into the Adelaide Fringe this afternoon, so I'm excited to go and do something fun with my family, make some memories, and let me know how you go. I'd love to find out. Thank you. See you later.